NAFDAC and Your Health is back as usual to give you information on the activities of NAFDAC, the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of safeguarding your health and also educates you on how to sustain your well-being by patronizing only wholesome food products, drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment. My name is Amanda Ugo, and I am your host.
Today on the show, the spotlight beams on how transparency, prudence, and war against transactional corruption has been engendered in NAFDAC since Professor Mojisola Adeyeye came on board as the Director General, and the integrity of the agency as a transparent body became restored. This will dovetail into highlights from the recent induction of the NAFDAC Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, a step to further suppress transactional corruption in NAFDAC. In the second segment, the continued efforts of the officials of the Special Task Force of the Investigation and Enforcement Unit of NAFDAC to get peddlers of fake and unregistered drugs off the streets of the Federal Capital Territory will be the focus. This is with a view to showing that NAFDAC remains unrelenting in its war against unwholesome drugs. Part of the unique characteristics that NAFDAC has imbibed and developed to an appreciable extent under the leadership of Professor Mojisola Adeyeye are transparency and integrity. Tracing the journey of the agency from the period prior to the assumption of office of Professor Adeyeye and the steps the DG has taken to rid the agency of corruption and lack of transparency, one would agree that Professor Adeyeye has indeed written the name of NAFDAC in gold, especially by entrenching responsible financial management and staff discipline.
We've been very prudent with our spending. And we have seen the result. I care for our workforce, our staff, but I also want a disciplined staff, workforce. And our staff have been so cooperative and we have improved greatly in terms of the money that we get from our clients and saving them, not just getting the money, and saving them, because we know that we have to use the money that the clients are giving us judiciously. For example, for infrastructure, one of our infrastructure is vehicles. Prior to 2018, many times staff will be going for inspection and the companies will send vehicles. That is anathema. It shouldn't happen in a regulatory agency because there is a tendency to want to return favor for that company that sends you vehicle, and that is weakening the regulatory system. Therefore, one of our priorities in terms of infrastructure is getting vehicles. In terms of acquisition of vehicles, each state should have at least 3 vehicles. We have about 6 border posts, one for each border post. Then we have the ports. So if you have two for each port, you are talking of over 150 or over 120 vehicles for NAFDAC. Before I joined NAFDAC, I think the newest vehicles were purchased in 2014. Newest, and there were few. Most of them were purchased in 2008. And when you go to different places with the roads, the way the roads are, the vehicles, get worn out. So we hardly had a state with one good vehicle. So we have to put money aside from our user fees to get vehicles for our staff. And we've been able to, because that is the way to safeguard the nation's health. Because if some people are making bad medicines or hawking around, you're not going to go on Okada to start running after them. You've got to use vehicles. So about 60% of our activities are field work. So vehicles is a huge infrastructure for NAFDAC. And it is because of the fact that we have been very prudent in terms of saving, the user fees and setting them aside for such.
As the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, continues to steer the affairs of the regulatory agency, machineries are being put in place to ensure that the firm footing so far gained by NAFDAC in the area of anti-corruption, prudence and transparency are continually consolidated. A recent initiative aimed at advancing this course was the induction of the NAFDAC Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit. With this, transactional corruption will also be completely eradicated in NAFDAC. The NAFDAC Director General was represented at the event by the agency's Director of Port Inspection, Professor Samson Adebayo.
The desire of the DG's administration to have a corruption-free agency by keeping at bay all forms of transactional corruption. I concluded that there couldn't have been a better time to inaugurate a new active team in NAFDAC. The Director General is a woman who is passionate about all activities and loves doing things within the ambit of law. So she takes it as a serious thing that the right thing must be done. Since the executives of Act 2 supposed to be tailored, that led to the need to inaugurate a new set of executives. These officers were painstakingly selected and screened to carry out this important task, and so are poised to give their very best in carrying out their mandate for the good of the agency and the betterment of our country, Nigeria at large. I hereby heartily welcome you and your team to carry out this very important function, and we promise and pledge that we will never leave any stone unturned in terms of when there are issues of concern, when there are issues that can compromise or that can result into what we call transactional corruption. The voice you heard is the voice of Samson, but the message is the message of Professor Christiana Moji Adeyeye.
Also present were the representative of the Chairman, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, Mr. Abu Lawrence, and other officers of ICPC.
Our sincere appreciation goes to the Director General, Management and staff of NAFDAC for facilitating the formal inauguration and induction of the newly reconstituted Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit of NAFDAC. This event has added impetus to efforts of the ICPC in promoting and entrenching values of integrity, accountability, and transparency in government establishments. The creation of Act 2 in NBAs was initiated by the ICPC in collaboration with the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation and approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2001 to serve as an in-house check mechanism in NBAs against corrupt and unethical practices. This agency, NAFDAC, mandated to regulate and ensure the availability of quality and safe food and drug for Nigeria, has a duty to ensure that its processes are devoid of corrupt practices and its workforce carry out their duties diligently, responsibly, and accountable. The Act 2 is therefore a veritable tool in entrenching these core values.
The members of the NAFDAC Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit took the oath of allegiance, pledging to uphold NAFDAC's anti-corruption drive.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that as a member of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit of NAFDAC, will display high levels of personal integrity
will display high levels of personal integrity
and accountability
in
all my undertakings.
That I will,
to the best of my ability, take necessary lawful steps to curb corrupt practices and mobilize others to join the crusade against corruption. So help me God. Thank you very much and congratulations.
The chairman, ICP, ably represented by Mr. Abu Lawrence. Dignitaries from ICPC, distinguished directors and deputy directors, newly inaugurated members of ACTU, ladies and gentlemen. With gratitude to God Almighty and deep appreciation to our amiable Director General, Professor Mojisola Christiana Adeyeye, I count it a big honor and privilege to be officially inaugurated as the chairman NAFDAC ACTU alongside the team. I also thank the management of ICPC for the opportunity given to us to work with the Commission in fulfilling the mandate. You may wish to know that the vision of NAFDAC is safeguarding the health of the nation, and in doing that, integrity plays a major role in carrying out the mandate. Corruption is not just taking and giving bribe, but it is doing the right thing. The culture of integrity, through being customer-focused and agency-minded, will be strengthened by the activity of the unit to achieve zero tolerance to corruption, amongst others. The culture of integrity, professionalism, and transparency must be built intentionally.
The representative of the NAFDAC Director General, Professor Samson Adebayo, on behalf of NAFDAC, thanks the ICPC team for being present at the induction.
This gift we have for the chairman and for the entire ICPC management on behalf of the management of NAFDAC, being presented by the Director General of NAFDAC. We have this flag for the entire management of ICPC under the leadership of the chairman. So we say thank you for coming, and we appreciate the collaboration.
NAFDAC and Your Health will be back after the short break. Please stay with us.
Beware. Fake or damaged drugs have put many people in serious health harms and have killed many others. But you can protect yourself by seeking professional healthcare advice when you feel unwell. Buy drugs from only licensed pharmaceutical outlets and make sure you check the packaging for poor condition, spelling errors, and unclear labelings. Also, check NAFDAC registration number, batch number, the expiry date, manufacture date, and manufacturer's address before paying, and always collect a receipt. If you suspect a drug to be fake or damaged, report immediately to NAFDAC on 0800-162-3322 or send an email to sf.alert@nafdac.gov.ng. Protect yourself and your loved ones. This message is brought to you by NAFDAC with support from WHO.
Welcome back. You are still watching NAFDAC and Your Health. As NAFDAC continues to intensify efforts to curb the proliferation of our society by unwholesome regulated products, and particularly drugs, through various strategies, including educating and sensitizing the public, the agency is equally matching all this with aggressive actions to nip the nefarious activities of the manufacturers and sellers of these products in the bud. This the agency is doing through dogged surveillance, investigation, and enforcement. In its usual drive, the effervescent Special Task Force of the Investigation and Enforcement Unit of NAFDAC swung into action recently as it swooped on a pharmacy in Suleja,
the Federal Capital Territory, where unregistered and unapproved drugs, among which are various brands of sex-enhancing drugs, are sold in wholesale.
There was a surveillance conducted by our officers here in Abuja at that particular shop at Suleja, which they discovered they are selling so many unregistered herbal products, and some are even drugs that are synthesized drugs that are not herbal, with pornographic pictures and which are not approved by NAFDAC. They are selling it in bulk, and it's like the person is a dealer, a kind of also, which we believe by tackling the dealers, those that are buying from them, retailers, will not have the source. And you know, that's why we do traceability and get to the root cause. Thank God we have gotten to that root cause, particularly in that particular area. That is what we did at Suleja.
Having gathered intelligence that a pharmaceutical store is the major merchant that distributes the fake and unregistered drugs to many of the hawkers within the Abuja metropolis, the NAFDAC enforcement operatives extended the raid to the commercial area of Mararaba in Abuja, where hawkers and street sellers of the unapproved drugs were found in large numbers.
In the Investigation and Enforcement Unit, we have this raid that we do on a monthly basis. Sometimes when the need arises before the end of the month, we still do it twice or 3 times, it depends. But for this particular one, it's also a surveillance that was conducted by the state, by the Dex officer, Abuja Enforcement, at that particular Yenya Maraba. That was why we went there and raided the place. More so, we wanted to confirm if those Baba Aisha that we did recently are still in the market, and also those that are doing the adverts that are not permitted are also doing the same advert, so that we can raid them and stop them from doing so. That is exactly the reason why we went out today. Most of the drugs are sex enhancers, manpowers. They call them night rocket, black diamond, double rocket, all sorts of names. AK-40, oh, you know AK-40 is a hair, and the rest. All of them are there. And so many herbal preparations that they call manpower, transformer, mebulala, mebushia, and the rest. So all these ones. And for that particular shop alone at Suleja, the drugs found there worth 36 million naira. And for the hawkers, we have like an estimate of like 10 to 11 million naira for the hawkers. You know, drugs are very expensive. You might see small drug, but it's expensive. So for the hawkers, it's about 10 million naira, and for that particular shop, it's about 35 million naira.
Today's exercise was very successful, and I thank God for the support of media too. We've arrested about 5 people today, and we have arrested with confiscated product worth 45 million today. It's a huge success for the agency. Much more for us to signal to the other people out there that want to do the wrong thing. Is a very, very, very successful operation for us. I want to use this media also to call on all well-meaning Nigerians. Please, when you see these people hawking drugs on the street, don't patronize them. If you don't patronize them, they won't have a market to go out there. And we want to also thank God for the support of media. That is why you could see our operation and our enforcement activity has been heightened for very recent.
It's not as if we are just starting now. But recently, the thing has gone up, the raid. The extent at which we conduct the raid has gone up because of the support we are getting from the DG and the Director of Enforcement. And I tell you, it's not only on drug that we are going to stop. We are going to go for any regulated product, be it food, drug, cosmetics, medical devices, detergent, even packaged water that is not chemicals that are not approved or that are suspected to be counterfeit. We are still going and we are still doing it, but we are more of drugs now because of the, you know, the effects of how drug. A lot of people use this drug on daily basis, though food is also used on daily basis. But drugs, instead of you to get well, it will now aggravate your health issues. So that's exactly why we are concentrating more on the drugs.
That has been our package on this edition of the program. We hope it was very insightful. Join us again, same time, same station next week for another informative and insightful package. If you have questions, reports, or comments that would help NAFDAC in their efforts at safeguarding the health of the nation, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Note: it is illegal to import, produce, distribute, market, or sell unwholesome food products, chemicals, cosmetics, and medical equipment. This act puts the health of the public in great danger. Join us to expose the perpetrators of this and eliminate the act. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.